Hello and welcome to the Golden Sports Report episode 71. That may have been delayed because the beep went off and then the yellow light didn't come on for 10 seconds afterwards. I'm Andy.
I'm Dylan.
I'm Chris.
And you see what happens when Sean isn't here when we do introductions. So, today we're going to talk about the Cup as the Cup was handed out Friday. Friday night to the Los Angeles Kings. We'll talk about the playoffs, game 4 and 5, and just playoffs in general as well. And then we're going to have a center debate for the NHL draft because we we haven't covered centers yet, and center is arguably the deepest position in this year's draft, and definitely very top heavy, as three of the top 5 picks, or in some case, 3 of the top 4 are center. So we're going to debate which one should be the best. So that should be interesting. Let's first talk about the Kings and how they won the Cup. The Rangers ended up winning Game 4. They avoided the sweep. If you have any opinions on that, Dylan, I'll let you go first. Did you watch Game 4? Game 4 you were working, but what was your opinion on games 4 and 5, and how do you feel about the Kings winning the Cup and things of that nature?
All right. Well, as you said, I was working for Game 4, but upon looking at the box score afterwards and everything, it really seemed like Henrik Lundqvist put the team on his back for that one, having 40 saves, only allowing 1 goal, while John Quick only faced 19 shots in the game, and Rangers were able to score 2 and get the win. So I give a lot of credit for Game 4's win to Henrik Lundqvist. And I kind of knew before the series that for the Rangers to take some of the games that they would have to have great performances by Lundqvist. And game 5 is one of the ones I saw. I saw Game 1 and Game 5 of the series, the start and the finish. And I thought it was a really entertaining game, and the Rangers, they didn't give up. It went to 2 overtimes, of course, and but as soon as you saw Henrik Lundqvist give up that rebound with Alec Martinez right there, you kind of knew that the Cup was over at that point. So I thought the 2 games that I did see, I thought were very entertaining, and that's all that I really wanted since I didn't have a personal preference towards either team. But I don't know. Kings won it for the second time in 3 years, and I think one of the things we saw in the Cup was how much depth can really help you. This is a team that played 3 series to 7 games each, and then they didn't look fatigued at all throughout this series against the Rangers. So you mean that depth? They can trot out anybody onto the ice and still get good performances and know that they're out there instead of relying on a few key guys and having to make them shoulder the load of the team. And I think it showed. The Rangers only played 1 less game throughout the first 3 rounds than the Kings, and to be honest, they did look a little bit more tired, like they were being worked a bit harder. And one of the things we've always talked about from back when we had the Ducks versus Kings debate up until the start of the Cup was how much depth that team really had, and these playoffs really proved that to me. So I thought it was entertaining, but yeah, But it's weird watching the Cup not having a preference for who wins because usually there's someone I like better. But from what I saw, it kept me entertained, and now we go into the off season.
Yeah, the season's over. Only another 4 months, and we'll be talking about hockey again and losing for McDavid. Chris, any thoughts on Game Four or Game Five, and any thoughts on the Kings winning the cup?
Well, I kind of called it in Game 4. I said if the Kings end up losing Game 4, it won't be because the Rangers beat them. However, that one goal, or that one non-goal where it just kind of sat there at the line, I actually fell asleep the last like 5 minutes of the game, so I didn't really see the end. Woke up the next morning, was like, oh shit, did LA win? And it ended up Rangers won. Ended up winning. So I did get to see the winning game. Otherwise, I would have been really disappointed. I caught, but back on track here. I called that LA would, kind of give that fourth game to New York, bring it back to Los Angeles, and win it there, and they did. Final is, the game. It was a good game. New York outplayed them the first two periods, and then third period, LA kind of found its feet again. And then as soon as it went into overtime, I was like, LA has gotten so many lucky bounces and lucky plays in overtime that there's no way they're going to lose here. Um, and I called it. I said Tyler Toffoli is going to get the game-winning goal in this overtime. And about halfway through the first one, I think, um, he stole the puck right out in front of Lundqvist and blasted a shot, and it went over Lundqvist's shoulder, and he beat him, but it hit the crossbar and bounced off, and I was like, I was disappointed, but then Tyler Toffoli ended up getting the game-winning assist where he threw it at the net, it bounced off Lundqvist's pads and right into Alec Martinez. So, you know, kinda, kinda called it there. Lost $20. I had money on the Rangers, but whatever.
Remember, Sean has to shave his head.
He does. I'll shave it for him if he doesn't want to.
You guys are gonna have to get together and record one of these episodes and shave his head.
All right. I'll make a couple spots balder than others.
Fair enough. A zero. We're going to give him a zero. First, we're going to shave his head, then we're going to wax off the rest of the hair, make him very bald. So, I watched Game Four. I watched most of Game Five. I ended up going to bed. I was like, nope, I'm not dealing with this. Excuse me, overtime nonsense. Which went two overtimes. I wish I'd watched it, but I also was like, no, no, I have to go to bed. So, nevertheless, Game Four, the Rangers sucked so bad. That was the worst game they played all postseason long, and the difference between the Kings losing and winning the cup was literally that puck on the line. It was like, well, really, you pretty much won the cup, but not right now. No, not right now. So Henrik Lundqvist played on his head. He played on his head in Game Five as well. And when they interviewed him afterwards, he said after Game Four, there was no way we were going to let them hold the cup and carry the cup around on our ice. And I thought to myself, yes, Henrik, you thought that, but it looked like none of your team thought that. They looked terrible. And frankly, Rick Nash was a joke all postseason long, in my opinion. 10 points, yeah. But for a guy that's supposed to be like a difference maker, like Marian Gaborik for the the guy he's supposed to replace, Marion Gaborik, did well with the Kings. Now, different styles of play and everything, but Rick Nash did not show up on the score sheet like he was supposed to. 3 goals in 20-something games. It's not acceptable for him. But, so I thought Justin Williams would score that game-winning goal, though. Because it's like, oh, this is just Justin Williams doing Justin Williams things. Scoring overtime goals and just doing what he does. But he didn't this time. That's okay because he won the Conn Smythe. And what really got me going was, you see Justin Williams be awarded the Conn Smythe, and he starts to get emotional. And you think to yourself, this man has won 3 cups. And this is still emotional for him. And it shows every game that he played this postseason and every postseason for that matter, how hard he works all the way to the end of the game. And even when he won the cup for the 3rd time in his career, it still makes him emotional. And an MVP deserved for a guy that is absolutely phenomenal in clutch situations. You see who carried the cup second. You guys saw that, right? Robin Regier, our boy,
Yeah, I saw that.
was the second person to carry the cup. I thought it was pretty interesting. I was like, they felt bad because he didn't get to play all postseason, like half of the second half of the postseason because of injury. But that shows how much respect he had in the locker room from people that even when he wasn't playing, he got the cup second. So that's usually more important than the captain getting it. Yeah, so
Yeah,
playoffs are over.
Captain.
The best time of the year.
Yeah, I was just agreeing with you. Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. There's a lag that causes me to talk over everybody.
Yeah, I know.
That's known. I feel bad about it. So, we're going to talk about the playoffs in general now for a second. I believe.
I have a question.
Uh-oh. Dylan's got a question.
I'm sorry, this is kind of delayed. I should have done this before you started to introduce other stuff. But when I was watching the game the other day, I thought of this because both of the Cup teams, as you may know, made deadline trades, and I feel there's a strong case either way. But who, in your opinion, was the better deadline day acquisition, Marty St. Louis or Marion Gaborik?
Marion Gabbert. Leading the NHL in goals during the playoffs. That's that's more than they were probably more than they were expecting. You make a deadline trade, you're looking for someone who's going to give you that extra depth to make that push. Maybe make a bit of a difference maker. Someone who's going to solidify your team. But then he goes and he leads the team in goals and just makes a difference every time he's out on the ice. So Marty St. Louis may have played well for New York, but he didn't play as well as Marion Gabbert.
Dylan, any opinion on that? Do you have a differing opinion or similar?
Well, the reason I posed the question is because I understood making the case either way. But the one thing that stood out to me, I know Marian Gaborik was fantastic during the playoffs, phenomenal, scored a bunch of goals and provided a great offensive lift. But in my opinion, I'm trying to figure out if I think the Rangers could have gotten to the Cup without Marty St. Louis, without the emotional lift, without his leadership. I mean, Callahan was a great captain and all, but Marty St. Louis has been around doing it for as long as we can remember, and I think the Kings are a strong enough team to where they could have got here without Gabrick. I think it might. I don't know how it would have ended up after the Cup, but I'm not sure. I think trading Callahan for Marty St. Louis might have given the Rangers that edge to actually get to the Cup, even though they did lose.
This is a good point. I thought when I thought about this and I heard about Gabrick scoring all these goals, I thought, well, St. Louis, leadership-wise, he provided leadership to that team more than anyone else could have at the time that was on the roster. He pretty much was the captain without being the captain, without the C on his jersey, and he was all over the ice all series long. For being a little guy, he was hitting everything that moved, and you just tell that he was putting his heart out there. And you bring up another good point about Gabrick too. I think without Gabrick, the Kings may not have gotten through the Blackhawks, but I think they're still better than the Rangers or any team in the Eastern Conference for that matter. Like, to say they would lose to Chicago doesn't mean much because Chicago would have won the Cup. Like, I don't think any team in the East had a shot against LA, Chicago, Anaheim, St. Louis maybe. Like, you look at those 5 teams, I can't see really a Eastern Conference team beating them. So I think it was more St. Louis than Gabrick. Bam.
Fair point.
Yeah. So all right. Next topic. What was your overall, like, if you were to give this playoffs a 1 to 10 rating, 1 being terrible, 10 being great, what would you give it? And what was your most memorable moment of the playoffs? Chris, you can go first.
I'll give it a 1 because the Sabres weren't in it. Oh, what? No, but really. Um, no, I'd say maybe a 7 because you just go in there looking. You look right at LA and you're like, that team is just so dominant. They've got every position all set, ready to go. You know they're going to win, and they ended up winning. So it's just like it was predictable, which is disappointing. I was hoping there would be a wild card team. I was hoping Chicago would repeat, but whatever. Um, and then the Eastern Conference, they barely put up a fight in the end, so it was disappointing. That's disappointing. Um, the Eastern Conference needs to get better so they can challenge the Western Conference because the Western Conference just has. If the Rangers were the best of the East and they got demolished like that by LA that quickly, then the Eastern Conference teams should be embarrassed. So um, I'd say just saying that brings it down to like a 5.5, maybe a 6. But other than that, well, that would be mine. Um, Most memorable moment would be when Anaheim was eliminated. That was a pretty good moment. Or maybe the most memorable game was when Patrick Kane was getting shat on for, oh, he's supposed to be a big playmaker. He's not helping us. And then, bam, 5 assists. Or was it 4 assists? 4 or 5 assists in one game. And I was just like, there he is.
We were having a show at the time, I remember. You had your
Yeah.
Pat Kane jersey in the back, and you said, I don't know why it's up there. He's playing terrible.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I was one of them. I was like, he was playing terrible, and then he came back and he got them back in it. So
Yeah, it's true. Um, Dylan, what is your 1 to 10 score of the playoffs, and what's your most memorable moment of the playoffs?
Personally, I think a 7 is a pretty solid grade for these playoffs. They were I kept me entertained. If I'm not mistaken, it was the most playoff games in an NHL playoffs ever. Probably partially in due to the Kings playing 7 in the first 3 and the Rangers almost doing that. But in more hockey is always good. It's usually good. When you're the Sabres, more hockey isn't always good. Someday it'll be good. But I thought it was entertaining. There were obviously the West was more dominant than the East, but there were some pretty good series in both sides, whether it be really any of the Kings series. The Blackhawks were pretty entertaining to watch. Colorado was for the first little bit, and watching McKinnon just tear it up. And I kind of wish there was less injuries in terms of Carey Price and Ben Bishop to make the East a little more exciting for those respective series, but the West was more dominant, and that showed, and the West did win, of course. And my most memorable moment, I think personally it's a tough one. Part of me wants to go with the passing of Marty St. Louis' mother and how the team stood behind him and rallied that into a victory like right around Mother's Day, which that was fantastic to see and great to see for a great player. And but another part of me wants to say the round one San Jose Sharks collapse up 3-0. We're like, wow, the Kings are terrible, and then they rally from down 3-0 and turn that into a run that ended with them winning the Stanley Cup this year. So it was quite the turnaround this year.
Yeah, that I guess I'll go out of order. That most memorable moment that Dylan just said, San Jose collapsing. That's what I thought. I was like, think about it. The Kings won the cup, but they were also that team that didn't give up down 3-0 in the first series against the Sharks and coming back, winning. And then in the second round, they won game one against Anaheim 2-1, and they were like, we played terrible. Next game, we're going to come out better. And you think to yourself, but you won the game. But they themselves did not take the win as, oh, we got away. I mean, oh, we played our best. The Kings were like, we didn't even play our best and we won. We need to start playing up to the way we can. And the Kings' run was it's just memorable. You won't forget it. Like the year that the Kings won the Cup in 2014, they came back from a 3-0 deficit. Only a couple teams have done that. Um, Another memorable moment, that Game 7, Chicago Kings. It felt like a Stanley Cup final Game 7 because we knew the winner of that game would more than likely win the Cup. And that in itself was the Stanley Cup Finals Game 7 for me, at least. And it going to overtime made it a great game, great finish. Columbus, you know, Columbus, I feel like it's forgotten that they did as well as they did this postseason. Taking Pittsburgh and uh, not giving up. So they won a couple games and they have a team to build around. Ryan Johansson will bring that team back to the playoffs. And it was just nice to see them, the fans in Columbus, all of a sudden coming out of their cellars and such because they've lived in the basement for so long. It sounds like Bills fans if they made the playoffs. And I don't know, Columbus. I feel like Columbus kind of is a memory. I'll give it an 8 out of 10 though, because all of these overtimes, all of this drama in the Western Conference, the Kings caused most of it. And I don't want to make this all about the Kings, but it's hard not to. But just all of the Game 7s, the Chicago St. Louis drama, I know I was a big culprit of that. Anaheim collapsing against the Kings. Just Minnesota beating Colorado when I thought for sure Minnesota had no chance. And I don't know, the West gives it a good grade. The East, like I liked watching Columbus, Pittsburgh. I liked watching some Boston, Montreal, but there was nothing really more than that, and that was disappointing. Next year, hopefully, it's better. Um, yeah, so I'll give it an 8 out of 10. All right, so now we're going to talk about the NHL draft. As we've been going, as we did the last episode, we talked about left wingers and right wingers. So today we're going to talk about centers. Um, we will cover Reinhart, Bennett, and Druzito. And all three of us have also chosen a European center to just go over a little bit as a sleeper or a solid player to consider in the second round of the draft, maybe for the Sabres. Um, but with the big three, we have to make the case for why they should be the first overall pick. Well, not first overall pick, but the best center in the draft. So, I don't know if we should do the Europeans separately from the other three or at the same time. Dylan, I'm going to let you go first, and you kind of make that decision if you want to do both at the same time or just do one without the other.
All right, well, I'll do both because I don't have, to be completely honest, I don't have a whole lot to say about my European guy. And I'll start with the European guy because I feel the North Americans guy is much more interesting, and obviously since he's a top five, projected to be top five. But my European center, his name is Pavel Janis. He is from the Czech Republic, and he currently plays in Europe, of course. He is 6'2", 190 pounds, so he needs to put on a little bit of muscle, but he's he's big. They say he's pretty intimidating, and I guess he's a hard worker, got big heart. The thing against him that knocks him down a little bit in the rankings is some inconsistency that he has had throughout this point in his career. But he has been able to make up with that with his size, and he doesn't take shifts off. Although last year his play did tail off as the season progressed, and that's not exactly something you want to see in a player. He had last season in the Czech Republic League, he only had 2 points in 29 games, but in the Czech Republic Junior League, he had 19 and 26. And that's an improvement over his previous years by a couple points. So this isn't exactly the guy that you're going to be looking at in the top of the draft, but maybe a little bit later you take him. You keep him. He's gonna develop for a couple of years before he'll ever make your NHL team, and it seems like he could be a guy to come in and use both his size and strength and play a decent two-way game for you. If hopefully if you draft him at the right spot. And it's about all on that guy. Next, I was tasked with making the case for Sam Bennett. I know he's been poo-pooed a lot because of his inability to do a single pull-up.
Ooh.
And as you can tell, Chris is not a fan of Sam Bennett. And I mean, I've heard everything from how important is doing a pull-up to be playing in the NHL to um, how is he even going to take a face-off if he can't manage to lift his own body weight? So I mean, obviously the critics are all over the place on this. He's done well enough throughout his career so far to warrant being a top 5 pick, and we're just finding out now that he can't do a pull-up. But I'll start with, I mean, he's only 100. He's 6 feet tall. He's 178 pounds. So he's probably an inability to do a pull-up leads me to believe that he'll take a year to develop in the juniors or before playing in the NHL. But to be completely honest, I don't know if any of these top 5 guys are exactly like, oh, this guy's definitely going to be in the NHL next year. Because you can make the case for a couple of these top guys that just leave them down and let them develop for a little while, because we already know that this class is a bit weaker in terms of compared to other classes, especially compared to next year's class. But in the OHL for Kingston, in 2012-2013, he had 40 points in 60 games, which isn't bad for his first year there. But last year, he improved to the point to where he had 91 points in 57 games. So in 3 less games, he had more than double his point output. He's one of my favorite things I've read since after people were bashing him for no upper body strength is that if the kid's been this good up to this point to be a top 5 and debatably the top player in the draft, and he's not even at his full potential, at his full strength that he will be, then just imagine how good he'll be once he puts on the strength and size and gets in the NHL and establishes himself. And I think that's true. Back when we did the NFL draft, one of my arguments was this person needs strength. Strength is something you can build, and in the NHL, you can have a year to develop that in a minor leagues. In the NFL, you're thrown right in with the Wolves, and if you can't catch up, then you're not going to be starting right away, and you're just going to be a backup. He can still get playing experience without having to be in the NHL and build that strength. So I do understand your reluctance to draft him if he can't do a pull-up. I went to the neighborhood park the other day, and I did 14 pull-ups, which is more than any NHL draft prospect. And doing one is absolutely simple. So I don't know how he didn't manage one. But I still think I'm not ready to discount him as a NHL hockey player because of that. I think he's still worth a chance. Let's see what this kid can do. And I guess we'll see in a couple weeks what teams think he's worth taking and when. I'm sure he'll still be a top 5 pick.
Sam Bennett. Dylan out pull up everybody at the NHL combine. Every single one. That's more about Dylan than the hockey players. Dylan's just so muscular and strong, it's unbelievable. Chris, you're up with your guy and your European guy.
I haven't gone out and done any pull-ups, but I did do some research. I'm going to go with the European guy first. His name is Kevin Fiala. Um, he's the top-ranked, I think he's top-ranked centerman out of Europe in this draft. He's only 17 years old, so you would think he would be in next year's draft, but he put himself eligible out for this one. However, he won't be able to sign with a team this year. They would just kind of draft him and get his rights for the year that he becomes eligible, because he actually has a contract this year to play for his team in the SHL, which is pretty much the Swiss version of the NHL. Let's get down to brass tacks here. He plays in a bunch of different leagues here. He's 5'10", 180 pounds. He's described as an offensive forward with game-breaking potential, respectable and shifty skater, quick legs, explosive acceleration. He's got soft hands, a pretty good skill set, and apparently he's a really, really good puck control guy, so he can really dance around players a lot, but he's not very good with his defensive play. He's not like the big guy. He's not strong. He's shorter and he's pretty small. But he can play, and he plays pretty well. Some stats real quick. In the Super Elite, which, as Andy told me, is like the AHL for the SHL over there. So in 27 games in Super Elite, he had 25 points, which isn't bad when you're playing. He's 17 years old. I don't know if he was 16 or 17 at the time, actually, of this one. But you're 16 or 17 years old, and you're playing against older guys. You're getting 25 points, 10 goals, 15 assists in 27 games. That's not bad. You're probably playing against older guys. In the SHL this year, he had played in 17 games, and he had 11 points, 3 goals, 8 assists. So, that's nothing flashy or anything, but that's not bad, because you're only 17 years old. You're playing probably, I don't know how old. I'm not a big guy with the SHL, but I assume if it's the same, their version of the NHL, all the players are going to be older and stuff, so that's not bad. Then we're going to move on to North American, and I was tasked with Leon Draisaitl, who, if I'm not mistaken, when we first did like the rookie, when we first did our scouting for this draft, I made the argument that he was actually the best prospect. I think it was him. So, I did some more research again, just to freshen up my thoughts on the guy. They pronounce his name really weird. I was watching some highlights. It was like Draisaitl or something. It could be Draisaitl, but I'm going to say Draisaitl here. He's 6'1", 210 pounds. You would think, that's a pretty good sized guy. Okay. However, he's not really a physical guy. He uses his body to protect himself and protect the puck, but he's not like a big hitter. He's not good defensively. He's more of an offensive player. He plays in Prince Albert in the WHL. He's from Germany originally, and he's actually most likely going to be the top German prospect ever picked. Right now, it's Marcel Goff was taken at number 20 a few years back. Um, so yeah, he's described as a playmaking center. He's not overly physical, but he uses his size to shield himself from the puck. However, he has excellent vision, soft hands, and he's still got good scoring skills. Um, but his smarts, his hockey IQ is his best asset. I was watching some of his plays earlier, and some of the assists that he has are insane. Like he's got some behind the back stuff, through the legs, through a bunch of defenders. He fights off guys with his body and just throws it out. And there's a guy right there. He knows where his guys are going to be, and that's pretty amazing. We're gonna start with 2010 in a under 16 years of age league. He played in 29 games. Ready for this? 29 games, 192 points, 97 goals, and 95 assists. Now, you're in an under 16 league. Obviously, if you're someone who's going to be a top 5 prospect in the NHL, you're going to dominate. And that's exactly what he did. 29 games, 192 points. Let that sink in. Next, he went to the next year in 2011, an under 18 league. He played in 35 games, and he had 56 points, which isn't amazing, but well, it's not 192 points, but it's still pretty good. 21 goals, 35 assists, so that's an assist per game there. 35 games, 35 assists. That would he's compared to guys like Anze Kopitar and Joe Thornton, so that would line up because those guys are assist first guys. And then in his first year in the WAHL, he played in 64 games and he got 58 points, which isn't awful, but it's in your first year, that's pretty good. And then last year, he played in the same amount of games, 64, and he ended up with 105 points, 38 goals, and 67 assists. So that's more than an assist per game again, and that's a thing. That's pretty good. This guy, he's probably the best passer in this in this draft. When you're being compared, when you're the third center ranked on most boards, when you're being compared to Anze Kopitar and Joe Thornton, you're doing something right because those guys are amazing. Joe Thornton is arguably one of the best, playmaking passers of all time. So, um, if you're picking number 3 and you got Leon Draisaitl still there, you're not going wrong picking him there. So,
Yeah, that's the funny part about this draft. Leon Draisaitl is being compared to Kopitar and Thornton, and he's the third best center. And this draft is considered weak, but all these comparisons are being made. So it begs the question: is this draft really weak or is it not? Um, my two guys, my two guys were Luka Hischer, Hischer, and Sam Reinhart. So we'll go with the better of the two in Luka Hischer. And so fumbling my headphones. So he played in Switzerland this past year. He is ranked middle of the road in center, so I expect him to be a second or third round pick in this year's draft. But stat wise, compared to the other European centers, he was one of like 2 or 3 that were a point per game this past year in the league that they played. So that's the thing. This year he had 39 points in 27 games with 22 penalty minutes. So compared to the other guys, like some guy had like 2 points in 20 games. Even William Nylander had like 10 points in 42 games. So, point wise, they're getting their points um, where they're supposed to. Playoffs, he had 15 points in 12 games. At World Juniors, he had 5 points in 5 games. He is 6'2", 190 pounds. He's a good hockey player. I got more on him actually. I should right here. Maybe. Yeah, no, I don't. All right, so Luca Hischer, middle of the road center from Switzerland, but he is one of only a few European centers to actually do well this past year in terms of points per game. Um, but he did do it at the Swiss junior level, which means he was playing players more at his age than in the Swiss major leagues, where these Swedish hockey league, Swiss hockey league, Finnish hockey league, they're not the NHL, they're not quite the KHL, but they are leagues with a lot of former NHL hockey players in there. There's a lot of big names in those leagues if you really look at them that you have seen play in the NHL before. So he's playing against NHL hockey players in some cases, and you have to respect that and think maybe he's being helped along the way. He was a assistant captain this past year, which matters a lot. He's got the leadership role. He's physical. He got 22 penalty minutes this past year. He will throw his body around, and yeah, so that's important. Now I will talk about Sam Reinhart because he is arguably the best player in the draft, and that's why we talk about it right now. Um, for a while there, he was projected to go to the Sabres at #1 when they dropped to #2. He was projected to go to the Sabres at #2 with Ekblad going 1. Um, this past year, he had 105 points in 60 games with 11 penalty minutes. He is considered one of the most um, intelligent. Like, I know Giuseppe was considered intelligent, but Reinhart is very smart. He doesn't take stupid penalties. He never makes mistakes out there that will cost his team. In the playoffs this year, he had 23 points in 13 games. He was captain of Kootenay. He was captain of their under 18 World Junior team. He was captain of the under 20 World Junior team. He's been a captain everywhere he goes. He's a champion everywhere he goes. And you know what that reminds everyone of? Jonathan Toews. And that's who Reinhardt's compared to. Toews. Good at both ends of the ice. His description here from last August, when he was younger, before this 105-point season, Reinhardt is a nice blend of poise, maturity, and a high hockey IQ. He's got creative hands, excellent vision, and superb instinct in the defensive end. He's able to slow things down and dissect the play. He battles hard and is a true team leader. So that pretty much sums it up for him. You got the vision and maturity that shows. He had 69 assists in 60 games. Last year he had 50 assists in 72 games. So that's a big deal. When he was 16 years old, well, if he's 18 now, 17, he was 15 or 16 years old when he was playing with Kootenay in the WHL in the playoffs. In the Memorial Cup playoffs with the Kootenay Ice, Sam Reinhart was playing at the age of 16 years old, 15, 16 years old. And that matters a lot. I mean, right off the start they had him playing, and that's what you can expect from juniors to the National Hockey League. He is built, he is smart enough, he is skilled enough to play in the NHL next year. And that's the sort of guy the Sabres need. They need Reinhart because that can be your Taves. You get McDavid or Eichel next year, and that's your Kane. Chicago Blackhawks. Seabrook Keith, Ristolainen Sidorov. I think that's pretty good. I like the sound of that, so I'll take it. I'll take it. Bam.
Yeah. I don't know if Rasmus will get to the level of Keith, but still, that'd be fantastic. Seriously, though. I honestly hope the Sabres draft Reinhardt. He'd be He would just be a ridiculous player. I'm excited. Draft is soon.
Yeah, we're having our mock draft in 10 days, so.
Yeah. I don't know who. I don't know who's gonna pick. Who am I gonna pick with the Sabres? Mm.
Oh.
Mm. Depends on who goes at number one.
Maybe I'll take Reinhardt at number 1 when it doesn't make any sense.
All right, you take Reinhardt, I take Ekblad. Sorry, bud.
Oh my gosh, this guy's taking Aquaman. In the comments below, post which center sounded the best to you out of Bennett, Druzito, and Reinhardt. If you have any opinions on any of the three, you can post below as well. And we'll talk about it in the next episode. You guys never comment, so we never have to worry about talking about it. So comment this time and give us some trouble that we have to deal with. Jeez. So yeah. That exhausted our topics for today. We don't have any more. Next Wednesday, we will talk about the Central Division. And I think, defenseman. Central Division and defenseman. And if we have to, we'll have to talk about the World Cup. Sigh. All right. So that's the thing. Actually, maybe the NBA Finals will still be going on. Right now, I'm hoping the Spurs win. Because I hate LeBron James. LeBron sucks. The Heat suck. And I really like Tim Duncan, so. Woohoo, go Spurs!
Yeah, I just saw a headline, and the headline said, "Oh, LeBron James says I need to do more, although he's playing through a sore ankle." Didn't Patrice Bergeron play through broken ribs and a penetrated lung?
And a separated shoulder.
I mean, a sore ankle. I need to do more. Meanwhile, NHL, you got a guy who had a stroke earlier this year, came back to play in Chris Letang. Got that guy on Dallas who literally died on the bench and wanted to come back. Put some ice on that ankle.
Bitch. Dylan, any opinion on LeBron James or the NBA Finals?
I don't really have much of an opinion on the NBA Finals. I just assumed the Heat would win. Not being I'll be the first to admit I know very little about basketball, but Spurs have been winning. I don't know about the whole muscle cramp thing and now his sore whatever. I mean, yeah, but we've definitely seen worse happen in other sports, but I don't know. For the best player in the world at that sport, he's doing a lot of complaining right now. So, I don't know. I don't really care who wins either, to be completely honest.
want that bitch to win. He whines about Eagles being injured.
Yeah, LeBron needs to lose.
Yep. Go Spurs. Go Spurs.
Yeah,
It's a
I'm
no.
pretty sure Steve King said said today that no team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit in the NBA Finals to win. So, history's stacked against them. But
Steve King and his basketball.
yeah,
What a weirdo.
He's a big Heat fan. It's too bad he's not on to defend his team. He was gonna be on once upon a time, but
and he's like, huh, no,
He usually watches, so maybe he'll end up watching us talk shit about him. This bitch, Steve King.
come on and argue with us, Steve.
You challenged him.
All out.
Um, all right, Chris. I see that you have a final word,
Yes, I do.
and I will allow you to go first with your final word.
All right, my final word is Marshawn Lynch. We're doing actually a lot of seconds tonight. In the last couple episodes, I talked about Marshawn Lynch earlier in the football season when he got fined $50,000. I don't know if you guys remember that. I got pretty emotional. It was a good episode. Um, and now Marshawn Lynch is complaining about not getting paid enough money. Even though he's the fifth highest paid running back in the league right now, he is whining and demanding more money, or he is going to retire. Um, that's bull. That is bullshit. Honestly, you signed a contract with this team. I don't give a damn if you won the Super Bowl last year or not. Play out the contract, or don't demand more money. Like, that's a stupid move. He, if you don't know the story, pretty much, he was like there were rumors that he was looking for a new contract with more money, and then there were more rumors that came out and said, yeah, he told a couple teammates that had the Seahawks won the Super Bowl last year, he was contemplating retiring. So now he's like, well, I think I'm gonna retire, and the only way you could convince me not to is if you pay me more than probably the rest of the running backs in the league right now. Like you just paid Richard Sherman so much money, cost a little my way. Like people are getting paid way too much money at this point, and I think they should stomp out the flame right here. Just be like, fine, you don't want to play out the rest of your contract, or you know, not bitch about not getting enough money, even though you're the fifth highest running back in the league, being paid wise, and you're not even like the guys above him. I assume would be like Adrian Peterson, Charles McCoy. I'm not positive on that, but that's who I would assume, and they are better than him. So it's not like he deserves to be the highest paid running back in the league. He's not the top running back in the league by any means. Top five, yeah. Um, but um, you know, I don't know if he's going to retire. This could just be a smokescreen, looking for more money, or what. But if he retires this year, then you know, I don't know. I'll be severely disappointed. I don't really have any respect for the guy anyway. Everyone in Buffalo knows why, but uh, yeah, that's my final word.
To add to your final word, I searched the top five running backs in the league that are paid, like top five paid running backs. AP, LaShawn McCoy, Forte, Foster, and then Lynch.
I could see Foster. He gets overpaid. He used to be a top running back. We'll see this year.
Spiller is 8th. Jackson is 12th. Jamal Charles is 11th.
Damn. Spiller's on his rookie contract, too.
Yeah. Fun fact: Alfred Morris is not on this list in the top 25, but Roy Halou is.
Okay. I don't even know who that is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Alfred Morris, though, he's probably on his rookie contract, and so he'll probably get a new contract soon.
I hope Lynch really doesn't. Lynch is making $5 million right now. If he wants to be the highest paid running back, he has to make $12 million. Yeah, he's not worth that much. If I'm Seattle, I say, Robert Turbin, it's your time to shine.
And if they don't trust in Robert Sherman, they've got enough players on that team. They can make a trade for another running back.
Exactly.
I've heard good things about Christian Michael as well, their other running back.
Yep. Christian Michael's looking good.
Yeah, so maybe they need to reconsider and call Lynch's bluff.
I certainly would.
I'm gonna leave the Super Bowl winning team because, well, I run over pregnant women in the street.
Exactly.
Did that. Did it.
Don't deny it.
All right, Dylan.
All right,
Final word. It's your time to shine.
my time to shine. I actually thought Sean was going to be on tonight. I assumed he would talk about this. And Andy even subjected us to basketball talk to avoid it. But my final word's going to be on the World Cup. So it started off the other day on Thursday with Brazil versus Croatia. I wanted Croatia to win. I'm half Croatian. Fun fact. But obviously they were the underdog there, and Brazil did win. But in terms of other games, the Netherlands upset Spain, winning 5-1, which was a huge surprise. Robin van Persie scored a beautiful header goal, which I recommend you look up if you have any interest in this. Some of you may not. That's fine, but it's been pretty entertaining. Costa Rica upset Uruguay yesterday, 3-1. England and Italy played a good game yesterday. I know a lot of people aren't soccer fans. There were 3 more games today, but I mean, the World Cup's really the only time I'll read things now and then about soccer, but the World Cup is when I pay the most attention. So it's entertaining. You can root for the United States. They play tomorrow at 6 p.m. against Ghana. Watch the game or not, you should. I think you should, but obviously if you're not interested, you're not going to. But it's always good to support your country and whatever it is that they're doing. I personally think soccer is a fun sport, although I don't follow it year round. There's way too much of it going on. Not way too much in that they should lessen it. There's just too much for me to follow because it's the most widely played sport worldwide. And it's got diehard fans. It's pretty entertaining. It's 90 minutes, but they don't stop the clock except for halftime, so it's not ridiculously long. My one complaint about it is that you'll see that there's a lot of diving in it and that came into play specifically in an instance where I was watching the Brazil-Croatia game. A Brazilian player barely got touched inside of the 18, and he decided to drop to the ground, and the ref awarded him a penalty kick, which then Neymar scored on. and that was unfortunate. I don't think they should have got the kick in the first place, and it's the main thing against the sport is that a bunch of players will dive to try to draw yellow cards, red cards, free kicks, penalty kicks, etc. But it's an entertaining game, and there's not going to be another World Cup for 4 years. So I mean, you can watch soccer now, and then I won't ask you to watch any more for until a couple of years from now.
And
That's my final word.
Dylan won't ask you to play soccer till episode 498 or something random like that.
If we get to episode 498, I think YouTube and the world will owe us a lot of congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Because,
As in,
oh my god,
China's on the
498th episode. If we got to 498 episodes, I think every episode at that point's like a pat on the back. Holy shit, I can't believe you got that far.
yeah,
It's
right?
like somebody living to be 100 years old. You're like, holy shit, how the hell did you pull that off?
Yeah.
The truth.
People will remember saying this in the 498th episode. One of us is gonna be like, "Wait a minute, there was an episode a couple of years ago. We talked about this exact episode." That'd be cool.
Oh my lord. Actually, never mind. I was gonna get specific. Ugh, soccer. I'd rather talk about soccer though than my final word. So NASCAR today. Jimmy Johnson won again. He won again. Wednesday, I was so happy because I was like, this is one of the 5 tracks he's never won at, and he won't win. And then I was like, oh, well, now it's down to 4 tracks he never won at, as he dominated the race because he's Jimmy Johnson. And the headline literally said, Jimmy has went 12 races without winning. Oh no. And in the last 4, he has won 3. And now it is, can he be stopped? And that just makes me sad because I don't think he can be stopped. This week, Michigan, the qualifying record was broken at the track at 204 miles per hour. It was the fastest lap ever. Well, it's the fastest lap since the record was broken at 212 miles an hour. After the 212 mile per hour lap was made, they changed the cars so then they couldn't go that fast again. And now they're starting to inch back up there. And in this past Saturday, they had the fastest lap since then. And Kevin Harvick did that. He finished pretty decent. I think it went Johnson. Well, I'm good. Johnson, Harvick, and then somebody, then Paul Menard. So, Keselowski. Keselowski finished third. Keselowski has finished second, and third in his last 3 starts. I guess a sad fact is we talked last week about how Hendrick Motorsports had won 4 straight races at the track at Pocono. Sean brought it up, or Dylan may have. But Hendrick has won 5 straight races in a row in the regular season. Johnson's won 3, Junior won 1, and Gordon won a race. So 5 straight races in a row won by the Hendrick Motorsports operation. They've done this one other time, and in that case, they won it a 6th time. So they won 6 times in a row. I don't. I know. Excuse me. Wednesday, I'll talk about this more, but I'm gonna bet that they don't win 6 times in a row. They're racing at Sonoma next week, and Sonoma has right-hand turns in it, so it's not a regular NASCAR track that they go to. That's a thing. One, two, three, four. That is the beginning of the 10 races to the chase. So 10 more races, and then the playoffs would begin. We are at the 1/3 point, and I'm disappointed because Johnson's in first place. So that's my final word. Um, and that's pretty much the episode. So thank you for watching. Like, comment, favorite, subscribe. We enjoy seeing likes and subscribes and things of that nature. Our views have been going up from the basement that they were in the month of March. So we're actually going up a lot better than I thought we would. This month we're going to do better than the last month. In the last month I thought we did well because of the mock draft. So this month is on pace to beat that one already. We haven't even done our NHL mock yet, so I'm happy about that. So yeah, comment below if you have any opinion on anything that happened today during the show. And yeah, guys, do you have anything you want to say or?
Start commenting. Pretty much, that's it. Looking for your comments.
What they said.
All right, so that was the Golden Sports Report, episode 71. We'll see you on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. Yeah. Bye.
Alright. Peace out.
Adios.
Did Andy just freeze with us on live?
Yep.
Oh, good.
That's fantastic. We're still on the air. Episode 71 continues.
Nice. Andy's frozen. Okay, cool. How about them Bills?
The Bills.
Oh, wow. I don't know. OTA's finished, that's all I know.
The Pagulas are putting in a bid.
Yeah, Pagula, I'm actually excited about that. He just got a crap ton of money. Freed up, what, 1.75 billion just to make a bid, and I'm sure he has so many, so much more monies. But, yeah, Pagula, two Sabres owners, well, one previous and one current, trying to buy the Bills. No, Pagula can own both of them, right?
What?
Pagula can own both of them, right?
Yeah. You're allowed to own two teams from different sports as long as they're in the same like city. So
Alright.
as long as the Bills stay here, I'm fine with whoever wants to buy them.
Alright.
But Pagula and Golisano sound like good candidates to me right now.
Yeah, that's about it. Maybe he could get. I would like to. If Pagula gets what's his face in the ring, guy with the stupid hair. Can't think of him right now. Oh,
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Yeah, Pagula and Donald Trump join parties. They just like what? And then they win the bid and keep the Bills in Buffalo and build a new stadium that we're getting the design from or whatever from the guy out who owns Boston. So there you go. Bam.
So we've been live. I'm sure
Yeah.
you guys know.
We came up with a new topic.
Stupid fucking internet pieces of shit. I couldn't say this last season. Stupid fucking internet Verizon scumbags. God damn it. Okay.
Wow.
If they stayed all the way to the end and they got to see me rage, like the video. Alright. I'm shutting it down.
Shut it down.